Yeah, why don't you
And then I
start
want to
off
talk
by
about too.
talking about PodStock? We can start with that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I made a 2 event stop on my way to, you know, wrapping up at PodStock, and that was a podcasting event down in Trenton, New Jersey, that Todd was at as well. So it was just a 1 day event, but we spent the night down there and to PodStock, and that was an amazing kind of first year event in Trenton, New Jersey. Very very well organized and lots of enthusiasm. I would say, Todd. So and lots of really good speakers. So it was a fun event.
Yeah, PodStock was, I was surprised because had not been in New Jersey proper, I guess. And I'll be honest with you, I was pretty impressed with the Trenton area. It's a
Hmm.
nice area, and I can see why people like hanging out in New Jersey in the summer, at least in the area that we were at. And um, it really kind of blew me away. I like flew into Philly and drove over, and I'm kind of like, wow, what? I was kind of, I'm used, Newark in that kind of area kind of sets a tone for New Jersey that, for those of you who live in Newark, don't take this the wrong way, but the stark difference.
Right. Well, it was a little more out of, in a smaller community. Trenton, New Jersey is only about what 80,000 residents, so it's not a huge city or anything like that. So I think it was a little bit smaller, more quaint. And I think this event was held at a Masonic temple that was right on the other side of was it the Potomac River, I guess, where George Washington crossed, I
Right.
guess. So it had a lot of history and looking back to the early days of the U.S. Right.
Yeah, and I think too is Frank and Christina and Will that put on Podstock from New Pod City.
Hmm.
Uh, they, be honest with you, they fed us, they, uh,
Put
tr-
us
they put us up, they
put us up, right?
transported us, um, it was, it was amazing. It really, really was. And I know you've got one of the animated caricatures of yourself, and I've got one that he created, and it was an overall it was I was pretty surprised. Overall, for a first time event, they did really, really well, and even had they even went above and beyond. They had an after party, a block party where they had a DJ out and had a plate next to a barbecue place, and they had a drink vendor on the street from the same establishment that was out there, and then later we went down to another a venue. So it was a long day. It was a 12, 13 hour day for us
Hmm.
for basically a 6 hour conference. But I think they did a great job, and I think I think with a little marketing, he could really grow that in a big way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it really pointed out the power of podcasting to build community too in a local market. So it could be an example of what could be done in lots of smaller cities across the country too. I mean, as a terrific example to utilize podcasts as a strength, which is it's a medium that could be utilized more locally. And so I thought it was a lot of topics were really really interesting. I thought that overall the topics that were covered at the Podstock event were really relevant and really kind of at the cutting edge of where the medium is today. And I think that was an event that really catered to new podcasters too. Right.
Yeah, I'll go back and make a couple more comments on
Right.
Podstock before we get to it. But I
Yeah.
did a show of hands during my presentation to find out how many were currently creating a podcast. There was about 10,
Hmm.
and then almost everyone else, which I would say there was 80 to 100 people there, were
Hmm.
not.
Right.
So that told me really that this really was an indie event, and I'll basically give a shout out that they also opened this up for college students and high school students. The attendance to that for them was free. They could attend. So,
Hmm.
and I think they also had some disadvantaged teenagers at the event as well that they brought in.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of kind of what I heard afterwards. So I think that they really brought a diverse group of people in to be able to at least get some exposure about what podcasting is and what you can do. So I'm
Hmm.
excited to see what happens with that group.